it a hot summer day. It is 4th of July. I find myself indoors. I think going through life celebrating more than 30 plus Independence Day celebrations. I just find it's more comforting to actually be at home. I think most of these holidays are over commercialized. Even I would say the same for like Chinese New Year's, New Year's Day, Christmas Day, any of the big holidays. It just feels overly commercialized. So, and also I don't at this age I really don't find any excitement in being in huge crowds. Crowds actually do give me anxiety. I do better off with one-on-one or small group, like super small group interactions. No more than 3 people at max. It has to do with the fact that I'm introverted. But the reason why I'm doing this recording today, it's not so much to talk about Independence Day as much as, and it's not really to talk about a health update. I think I'll give a health update probably by the end of this month when I have made some progress in that regard. I have been a little bit more physically active, been doing 10,000 steps each day. I've actually been very committed to that. My pedometer is definitely proof. I'm very proud of that. Been incorporating yin yoga and more recently been hitting the gym, even if it's like 5 to 10 minutes, working on just a small part of the body. I'm trying to build those sustainable habits without forcing, the idea or self-imposing the idea that I have to be at the gym for 1 hour. I have to do, a whole body workout and things like that. I think I used to do that. It's very unsustainable. Also, one thing like I said, I have anxiety with crowds. So if the gym is pretty crowded and there's like really no machines available, I have to wait. I do get anxious because I don't know what to do with myself. Like when I'm just standing there, even if I'm looking at my phone, I feel very awkward. Like I'm forcing that habit to kind of kill time. Sometimes I kind of wish they did a sign up for some of the more popular machines or certain machines just so people can rotate. There's no need to speak to people, so to say, or have a justification for using the machine instead of waiting around. I feel like if I'm waiting around, I make that person who's using the machine feel awkward, and I myself, I don't want to make them feel guilty about me standing around. It's also kind of stalkerish. I would not like that either if I'm using a machine and somebody's waiting around for it. I feel like I need to rush through it. And when you're rushing through things, you're more prone to like giving in, not paying too much attention to posture, and that can lead to injuries. I think if there's like a sign up sheet where from what time to what time, if you're given 10 to 15 minutes on it, that you're making a conscientious effort to make sure you give that machine, you put your all into that machine, and then you give that machine to somebody else. There are some of those folks that stay on the machine, they're looking at their phones, they're talking to somebody, but they're not really doing anything. Even if it's taking a break, the break sometimes can last a really long time. I mean, I feel like personally, I would not want to stay in the gym. I want to do my thing, get in, get out, right? Not everybody's the same, but then at the same time, it's like, why would you want to hang out there? Just do your business, go in and go out. It's like using the bathroom, go in, go out. But what was it? So I think for those who have watched my videos know that I do, I had suffered, and I still kind of working through those childhood traumas, coming from an emotionally and verbally abusive. I don't know. Maybe physically abusive. I have no idea if what my I experienced could, but be categorized as such. But definitely verbally and mentally abusive. So, um, it comes down to the idea. I think I've talked about it in some of my prior videos. It's like, and was watching a Steve Harvey segment talking about how, like, this woman, she saw some red flags in her partner, but she was pregnant, so she ended up staying in that relationship, being married for 12 years, and um, she just had she has suffered through it because that partner is not supportive, breaks her down. But in the light of her having her kids, wanting her kids to have a family that has a father figure, she stayed in it because she herself um, experienced, I guess, something similar as far as like not being in a family with both parents. And something that Steve Harvey said, and somebody in the audience said the same, and I highly agree, is that kids are very keenly aware. Children, whether they're your child, no matter what age, they're very keenly aware if one of their parents or both of their parents are not happy. To stay in that relationship, especially if one party is being torn down, and if you have daughters, so to speak, you're also a role model. You serve as a role model for them. If you're taking that shit, and pardon my French, if you're taking that shit, what kind of example are you showing them that, they should find a partner that also has such similar behaviors, and it's okay to take that type of flack from them. The thing is, like, and it also kind of have this generational trauma that gets passed down because a lot of times if we're negatively affected by our experiences as a child, looking up to our role models, but and seeing that dynamic, we some even though we don't like it, sometimes we do end up seeking a partner that has similarities to our dad or our mom who was abusive or neglectful or any of that sort, because that's all you've ever, like, as a child, that's all you've ever known as far as like what is considered a healthy relationship. So if you are exerting your healthy boundaries, you're not taking that shit, you're trying to show them what a healthy relationship to yourself as well as to the type of partner you seek for, will definitely be it'll definitely set a really good example for what they should seek as well. Not to mention, children do get negatively impacted, not only by seeing and learning, right? Monkey see, monkey do type of analogy, but also the emotional part is that they feel, as far as I can only say personally, I think as Asian Americans, we don't really dig into our emotions as much, especially the more traditional immigrant family. I think it has to do with the fact it's culture. Another thing is they never really had, like, if it's like my parents where they come from a low working class, they work as like in the back kitchen of the fast food restaurant. They're working at a factory, a garment factory or some sort. At the end of the day, they don't have the capacity to think about things emotionally and how to have that emotionally healthy relationship. They only know at the end of the day is that how to survive. in turn they teach their kids the same thing, and we don't know how to manage our emotions, we don't know how to cope with it. And with them not having developed that emotional maturity, um, I can say when I was younger, back in like I would say even certain times in elementary school, a lot of times in junior high and even high school, I would say even through college, actually for a large part of my life, my parents, especially my mom, who I'm super close with, she was very emotionally reliant on me. Um, I mean, she has become more and more independent as she's aged, as far as emotionally go, or I guess she also has dipped into her other coping mechanism, which is escapism. But I don't know. You know, I'm not a professional as far as that goes. I can only speculate according to my own observations. But you know, a lot of it went back then. You know, those really hard, scary fights between my dad and my mom, which you know ended up in my dad threatening my mom, both physically and verbally. Um, my mom would end up crying, and you know, she doesn't really have like the thing with Asian families. They don't want to share, regardless of how close you are with your friend, and even with your own family members. You don't want to share the shame of what happened, and there was a lot. I mean, I don't know if it's really processed for my mom still, but um, yeah, she would come to me, and she would share her feelings, share her struggles, really like, I used to call it emotionally dumping her problems, and I think even to a certain extent, between me and my sisters, we had to feel like we had to take the parental role in protecting my mom and my grandma at points, to prevent my father from getting to them, because no matter how scared we were, I think we thought that our dad wouldn't be as bad to the point where he would hit the three of us, you know, me and my sisters. So, um, but that is to say, you know, in that type of tumultuous environment, I would have really, really wanted my mom to actually have loved my dad, and that all of us could have, you know, gone to a safer space. But what is done is done, right? That is in the past. But I can speak based on personal experience that please, if you have children, you're in an abusive environment, or you know, yeah, an abusive environment, and I don't mean just physically, verbally, emotionally type of environment where you're dealing with a spouse that is emotionally immature, please leave. Um, for first, for the safety of your children. Second, to ensure that they have also a safer and more mentally stable environment to grow up in. Um, I mean, it's not to say it's gonna be a little bit more difficult since it's gonna be a single parent struggle, right? But if you're really looking after a child, being in that type of environment where they feel like they're constantly on edge, wait anticipating something that bad will happen, it's no life for a child. It really isn't. And also set an example that there are certain boundaries that shouldn't be breached, so they in turn can learn to set those healthy boundaries for themselves. um, that's all I have to share today. Yeah, and to all those that are in those types of relationship, don't consider this as yeah, I listen to a lot of Candace Owens, and it's like, oh, don't always talk about. It's all about me, 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 me. But I feel like in this situation, there's got to be a little bit of me in this, um, and don't think of it as only for me. It's also for your children to be able to learn what a healthy relationship dynamic should be, what healthy boundaries are. Um, yeah. Uh, and not no type of abusive relationship should be tolerated ever. Um, no, it's not your fault for being in those relationships. It just so happens sometimes people are able to put up a really good front, and they're able to really hide their issues, especially for example narcissists. They love bomb you. They really, if they want to get something out of you, they really have that patience. And once they get it, all hell breaks loose, right? So don't blame yourself. These things do happen. What you need to do and remember is that you always have a choice in this matter. You want to make the best choice for yourself and your children, and sometimes the best choice is not staying with that partner at all. With that, have a happy 4th of July, and talk to you soon.